Imagine a man so mighty he could rip apart a lion with his bare hands, yet so smitten by love that a simple haircut led to his downfall. No, this isn't a Marvel origin story. This is the tale of Samson, the biblical Hercules. His story, chronicled in Judges chapters 13 to 16, is a roller coaster of divine purpose, personal flaws, and epic feats that would make even the Avengers do a double take. With strength unmatched and a temper as wild as his hair, Samson's life was a blend of divine prophecy, human fragility, and headline-worthy drama. He wasn't just strong, he was unpredictable, impulsive, and occasionally hilarious in his recklessness. What makes his tale even more riveting is that it isn't pure fiction. It's rooted in ancient Israelite history, reflecting a time of chaos, tribal rule, and constant conflict with the Philistines. Whether you see Samson as a cautionary tale or a flawed hero, his story delivers timeless lessons wrapped in jaw-dropping action and divine intrigue. So let's start the video. Chapter 1. A Birth Foretold. In the ancient town of Zorah, nestled in the Judean foothills, lived a couple from the tribe of Dan who faced the heartbreak of childlessness, a heavy burden in ancient times when offspring were seen as divine blessings. One day, in a scene straight out of a fantasy novel, an angel of the Lord appeared to the barren wife with a dramatic announcement. She would conceive and give birth to a son who would begin to deliver Israel from the Philistines. The divine visitor laid out strict instructions. This child was to be a Nazarite, a person consecrated to God. That meant no alcohol, no touching dead bodies, and above all, no haircuts. Not even a trim. This vow was sacred, symbolizing dedication and divine empowerment. This prophecy was more than a birth announcement. It was a spark of hope for a people weary under Philistine oppression. The mother-to-be was overwhelmed, and when her husband Manoah heard the story, he prayed for the angel to return with more instructions because parenting manuals weren't a thing yet. The angel did return, reinforcing the message and vanishing in a fire, a celestial mic drop. They named their son Samson from the Hebrew word shemesh, meaning sun, perhaps a nod to the blazing light he was destined to bring to Israel's darkest hours. Chapter 2. The Lion King. As Samson matured, it became clear he was not your average boy next door. Blessed with supernatural strength and a rebellious streak to match, he defied expectations and his parents' warnings by falling for a Philistine woman in Timnah. This raised eyebrows, as Philistines were Israel's enemies, but Samson saw no issue. Love at first sight, or perhaps lust. En route to arrange his wedding, Samson encountered a lion. Not one to back down or look for the nearest tree to climb, he tore it apart with his bare hands as if it were a stray goat. He didn't even mention it to his parents, a casual secret, like forgetting to do homework. Weeks later, passing by the lion's carcass, he found a beehive inside it. Instead of running from the hygiene nightmare, he scooped out the honey and ate it. This oddity became the basis for a riddle he posed to his wedding guests. Out of the eater came something to eat. Out of the strong came something sweet, the stakes, 30 fine garments. The Philistines couldn't solve it and resorted to pressuring his bride, who got Samson to reveal the answer. When the riddle was solved, Samson didn't just lose the bet he snapped. In retaliation, he went to another Philistine town, killed 30 men, and handed their clothes over. Talk about making a fashion statement with blood stains. Chapter 3. Love, Lies, and Lethal Jawbones. Samson's temper didn't cool after the riddle fiasco. When he learned his bride had been given to another man, he burned with rage, literally. He caught 300 foxes, tied their tails together with torches, and unleashed them into Philistine fields. The destruction of crops, vineyards, and olive groves sent a fiery message. Don't mess with a man with divine strength and abandonment issues. But this wasn't just petty revenge. It triggered a cycle of retaliation. The Philistines, in response, burned Samson's wife and her father. Enraged, Samson attacked them viciously and then took refuge in a cave. When the Philistines pursued him, 3,000 men of Judah came to hand him over. Rather than fight his own people, Samson agreed to be bound as long as they didn't kill him. Once delivered to the enemy, the Spirit of the Lord empowered him, and he snapped the ropes like melted licorice. Grabbing a donkey's jawbone, he slayed 1,000 Philistines, an act so legendary it earned its own poem. Exhausted, he prayed for water, and God miraculously provided it. Despite his impulsiveness, Samson continued to judge Israel for 20 years, proving that God can use even the most flawed individuals to fulfill divine plans. Chapter 4. Delilah, the femme fatale. Fast forward to the most infamous chapter in Samson's saga, Delilah. If there were biblical tabloids, this romance would be front-page scandal. Samson fell for Delilah, a woman from the valley of Sorek, and this time the Philistine leaders saw an opportunity. They offered her a fortune in silver to uncover the secret of his strength. In a series of escalating flirtations, she asked him to reveal the truth. At first he toyed with her. Bind me with fresh bowstrings, new ropes, weave my hair into a loom. Each time she tried it. Each time he broke free. Either she was persistent, or Samson had the ego of 10 warriors. Eventually, worn down by her constant nagging, a biblical case of toxic love, Samson confessed that his strength came from his uncut hair, a symbol of his Nazarite vow. While he slept on her lap, Delilah had his hair shaved. Cue the betrayal. The Philistines captured him, gouged out his eyes, and took him to Gaza. Once a mighty judge, now blind and grinding grain like a beast of burden, Samson was utterly humiliated. But while his strength was gone, his story wasn't over. His hair began to grow, and so did a flicker of hope. Chapter 5. Blind faith and final redemption. Samson's final act was not just powerful, it was poetic. Brought to a Philistine temple during a celebration of Dagon, their god, he was mocked and paraded for entertainment. Standing between the two main pillars, he prayed to God, not for glory or revenge, but for strength to avenge his eyes. With divine empowerment one last time, Samson pushed the pillars apart, collapsing the temple and killing over 3,000 people, including himself. He killed more in his death than in his life, the Bible notes. This wasn't just epic storytelling, it holds some historical plausibility. Archaeological digs at sites like Tel Mikne, biblical Ekron and Tel Kasil reveal Philistine temples with central support pillars. This detail supports the biblical description, lending credence to a story often seen as purely legendary. Samson's demise was tragic, but redemptive, a final blow to the oppressors, proving that even a fallen hero can end with honor. Conclusion: strength, weakness, and the human condition. Samson's life reads like a gritty action film laced with moral lessons. He was a paradox, empowered by God, yet often led by ego and impulse. His feats of strength were awe-inspiring, but his emotional weaknesses led to downfall after downfall. Still, his story is not one of failure, it's one of redemption. He was a man who repeatedly stumbled, yet God continued to use him. That's the beauty of Samson's saga. It reminds us that our greatest victories can come even after our deepest failures. If you enjoyed this epic video of strength, love, and one very bad haircut, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more legendary stories, and hit the bell so you never miss an adventure.